Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Ryan Day and Ohio State heading on the road to play the Washington Huskies. And you talk about an under the radar game that we're going to see on Saturday afternoon. You are looking at one right here. And number one, you got a quarterback battle that might be the best quarterback battle that we see all Saturday afternoon. Julian Sayin, who has looked incredibly sharp through the early parts of 2025, making his first career road start in Husky Stadium. Like, I think there are a lot of Ohio State fans that have a lot of confidence in this football team, that have a lot of confidence in Julian Sayin on the road against Washington. That is a very tricky environment to get your first road start. And then on the other side, you're looking at Damon Williams and say, hey, let's just be straight up about it. There are not many more dynamic quarterbacks in the country than what you see with Damon Williams. Secondly, he's playing really, really good football. Now, the second matchup that you're looking at here is the chess match between Jedd Fisch running this Washington offense and Matt Patricia running this Ohio State defense. For a young quarterback, it is a very difficult defense to go up against with Matt Patricia. He's an NFL guy that is going to disguise a lot of different looks. He's going to bring a lot of different blitz packages. He's got a couple of linebackers who are elite when it comes in terms of sending them on pressures. How does Damon Williams and Jedd Fisch manage all of the things that Matt Patricia is going to throw at you, especially with Ohio State coming off a bye? And I promise you, they just spent 2 weeks dialing it up and getting a really good game plan to deal with a Washington offense that, man, can attack you in a lot of different ways. Because I started with Damon Williams, and Jonah Coleman's one of the best running backs in the country. Denzel Boston's one of the better wide receivers in the country as well. There's a lot of different playmakers and ways for Washington to attack an opposing defense. This game is going to be awesome. And if you are a college football fan that follows this sport closely, yeah, we're going to watch Oregon and Penn State. And yeah, we're going to watch Alabama go on the road and play Georgia. You're probably going to be watching this one as well. 3:30 Eastern time on CBS. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, wouldn't mind a little bit of a vibe check from the Ohio State and Washington fans. How are we feeling about this one heading in? The amount of support for these game preview and prediction episodes has been amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel and call your shot in the comment section. Who do you think wins this game? Does Ohio State cover in this football game? Let it fly. Without further ado, let's get into it. I want to start with this Washington offense that is currently scoring 48 points per game. That is number 3 in the country, going up against an Ohio State defense that, and I'll put my hand up and say maybe I was a little bit wrong about Ohio State's defense. I had some concerns, not only in terms of Matt Patricia. In fact, I didn't have many concerns about Matt Patricia. I think he's a really damn good defensive coordinator. My bigger concerns were, is Ohio State going to be as dominant on the defensive line as they were last year when they won a national championship? And I don't know if it's as good as it was last year. You're replacing a lot of really good football players through the first couple of games of the season. My question marks about Ohio State's defensive front have been significantly mitigated. Now, I think it starts with this. Can you stop a very dynamic Washington Husky rushing attack where Damon Williams, we know he's a 10-7 guy in the 100-meter dash, very, very good runner of the football. Then you combine that with a really good running back in Jonah Coleman. Washington's running the football on 62% of their snaps. They're averaging 5.5 yards per carry, which is top 20 in the country. How does Ohio State deal with that rushing attack? This is the one thing I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you feel pretty damn good about, and that are these linebackers. Not only Sonny Styles, but Arvell Reese. This kid's emerged as one of the best linebackers in the country. Washington's going to throw a lot of different run concepts at you, especially getting Damon Williams involved, especially getting to the perimeter. Ohio State's got a lot of really good linebackers that can run, chase, and tackle. And I'm going to include Caleb Downs, who can come up into the box and fit the run just about as good as any other safety in the country as well. There are pieces in the second level of Ohio State's defense that make this a defense that's very hard to run the football against. That's probably where it starts. How well is Washington able to run the football? Because nobody's really been able to stop Washington running it. Can Ohio State do that Saturday afternoon? Now, the second part of it is, can you take away Denzel Boston? Because the first scouting report thing that you have that Matt Patricia probably has in terms of stopping Washington's passing attack is, can you take away Denzel Boston, who's a legit NFL dude, one of the better wide receivers in the country? The reason I bring that up is the biggest question that you might have for the Washington offense is, if it's not Denzel Boston through the air, who else is it going to be? He has 23 targets on the year. The next most targeted pass catcher for Washington on the season is Jonah Coleman at the running back spot with 9 targets. It's pretty damn clear that Washington wants to get the football to Denzel Boston. Ohio State, they have some guys in this might be the best secondary that we see in the country. They have guys that, hey, maybe we can go out and take away Denzel Boston. If Ohio State can do that, does Washington have other guys that can step up and make plays? That's the other storyline you're looking at. And then mitigating Damon Williams and what he can do as a playmaker, as an athlete. It's one thing to get pressure on the quarterback. It's another thing to get Damon Williams to the ground. He is very good at getting himself out of trouble. I'll say this for Washington. If I were to choose a quarterback that I would choose to give my team a chance to beat a defense like Ohio State, Damon Williams would be a guy that's high on the list because of his ability to make it work when it's not perfect. Like, you make no mistake about it, Ohio State is going to manufacture pressure on the quarterback, right? Ohio State's got a really good front seven with some linebackers that can get after the quarterback as well. You need if you want to beat Ohio State, you need a difference maker at quarterback, a quarterback that can make wine out of water, so to speak. When the play is broken down, do you have a quarterback that can step up and make some things happen? Well, gosh darn it, Damon Williams is. And this kid does not get enough credit for what he can do as a thrower of the football. Damon Williams, the dude can spin it. I mean, he is 6 of 11 on 20-plus yard throws, has 4 big-time throws on the season to 0 turnover-worthy plays. Yes, he's a very good athlete. Yes, he can get involved as a runner. Really, really good thrower of the football as well. Now you flip sides. And I think the biggest storyline here is, number one, what's the health of Decario Davis for Washington? There are not a lot of defensive back rooms that I think can match up with Ohio State's wide receivers. If Decario Davis is healthy, Washington might be one of them. Like, I like their boundary cornerbacks with him and Prysack. And so, number one, what's the health of a guy like Decario Davis? Number two, and probably the biggest storyline of the football game in general, is, how does Julian Sayin handle this environment? And I have no reason to believe that he'll be flustered, right? But he still is a redshirt freshman quarterback that has not played a ton of football and has not played a ton of football on the road. So that is a storyline that you are certainly looking at. What's the communication with the sideline look like? Can he get his offensive line in the right protections consistently? Because Washington does have some guys that they can generate some pressure in the quarterback. And if you want to disrupt Julian Sayin, it starts with getting him off his spot. Because when Julian Sayin's in rhythm, when he's clean, I mean, there are not many, if any, throwers who are more accurate than Julian Sayin. I think the way you can maybe get to Julian Sayin a little bit is make it not perfect. Make him try to extend plays, get him off platform. That's when he's not at his best. Can Washington do that on the road? Can the crowd play a factor in terms of what pass protection looks like? Do you see Ohio State get behind the chains and create some pass rushing situations for Washington defense that they can get after the passer? Those are all the storylines you're looking at there. One of the X factors that I had on in my notes is, what offensive play caller between Brian Day and Brian Hartline and Jed Fish on the other side, what offensive play caller can come out and script their first 10 plays really effectively? And I think it's really damn important for Washington. Like, what if Jed Fish finds 10 plays that, hey, we feel really, really damn good about these 10 plays? We're going to run them in that first drive. If Washington can come out there and get an early lead in this football game and get that crowd into it and build some early momentum, that to me seems like a really big X factor. And look, Jed Fish, he's one of those guys that you trust to come out with a really good game plan on the offensive side of the football. If Washington wants to not only hang around in this game, but win this football game, starting good and starting hot seems to be a very important storyline. Getting into the pick here, To me, it's hard to go against Ohio State, and this is not a anti-Washington take. In fact, I have Washington as a top 25 team in the country at this point. This is an offense that will find some explosives. I look at the matchup, and the takeaway I have is that I think Ohio State's a little bit more of a complete team than Washington is at this point. I think Jedd Fisch is going to be damn good at Washington for however long he is there. I think Ohio State, specifically along the lines of scrimmage, I would probably give them the edge. I think that's probably where it comes down to. And then I look at Matt Patricia versus a young quarterback, and look, I know Damon Williams is really damn good, but Matt Patricia gets 2 weeks to game plan for what Damon Williams is going to throw at him. I'll take the NFL defensive coordinator and Matt Patricia with a very talented defense going up against a young quarterback that has been really good. It's another thing to be really good against an Ohio State defense that I think has the ability to take away your best football players. That might be the biggest question I have in this game is if Ohio State can take away the run game and take away Denzel Boston, does Washington have enough answers outside of Demond Williams, Jonah Coleman, Denzel Boston? That's probably the biggest question mark I have. For that reason, I'll take Ohio State to go on the road and win this football game. Going to be really, really good. And if you are a college football fan that's sleeping on this one, wake up because this has the opportunity to be very exciting. And look, if you're just a football fan in general, you're going to see two of the best quarterbacks in the country go head to head in this matchup. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.